Hello, my name is Ty. I am your homicidal chauffeur, and welcome back to Kingdom Come Deliverance. Last episode we had a lovely time with Teresa, and then set out on the road for Uzhitz. Once we got here, we learned about Limpy, and his grisly fate, and now we need to keep asking around town about what he'd been up to. But first, we have something more important to attend to. We can level up. First is our agility, so that's gotta be good. We have Dodger right now. We could take Featherweight. That looks like our only other option for the moment. That will reduce our falling damage. Doesn't strike me as incredibly useful, but okay. And then we also have defense. I could pick firm grip, which will cost my opponent stamina when I block, so that sounds pretty good. Or we could pick weapon cruncher. I'll damage my opponent's weapon more if I beat him in a clinch. I don't seem to be very good at clinch, so let's pick firm grip. My nourishment is getting a little low too, so let's see what kind of food we have. Some of this stuff is spoiled, but I do have dried meat, so let's eat that. We're back up to 83, so that sounds good to me. Right, and the first person that we need to talk to is the priest. He is the last person that we know of to talk to Limpy before he was murdered. So he seems like an important witness. And also, he was upset with one of the women in town. I'm not sure if that's relevant, but I would like to know what's going on. So perfect time in here. The morning bells are ringing. The sun is rising. We're walking into Uzhitz, which is actually a lovely town. We've had kind of a bad time since we arrived with the murder and the weather, but overall, the hills are quite scenic. There's the church right there, obviously. The priest must be staying in that house. He does seem to be in there, so we may need to wait. Can't have a wash-up. That's a shame. Always like to have a wash-up in the morning. Here we go. Wash yourself. Hello, Mr. Priest. Can I talk to you? Can I ask you a few questions about Lubush?
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy.
Wow, that was
I
uncalled
hope this
for.
nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
Bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son. And one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Right, but he was murdered. Don't you think that he would want you to help me catch his murderer? There has to be some exception.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
I don't want to get the confession out of him by force. You can hurt him now.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, The consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosch was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Good luck to you.
All right. He's going to try to help me. That seems reasonable. As I was saying, I definitely think that this is one of those times where an exception seems like would be reasonable. Pretty sure your God would want me to catch the murderers. That's all I'm saying. Alright, so maybe though if I do more exploring around the town, I can find out more about Limpy. So the game thinks I should come over this way. I do need to go talk to the scribe as well. That's probably a good idea. We should prioritize that. Seems like maybe down here. Hello, sir. Can I ask, who are you? You're just a villager. I'm looking for the scribe. Can you please excuse me? Go away. This door is locked. I don't think I should be going in there. Seems like that's where the scribe is, though. Can I ask this guy?
Good day to you.
I can ask him about Limpy.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Sir Hanush gives a job like that to a young fellow like you? Well, what do I care? Ask.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
I didn't see much of him lately, not even in the tavern. Not till yesterday in church, as it happens.
Right.
Do you know what Lubosch was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I don't think he was home at all. Why, are you saying he... Jesus.
That's all. Thank you.
No, that was not where the scribe is. Still farther up this way. This guy has a lot of books. What are you up to?
My respects to you.
No, it's not him. Scribe. Hello, sir? Sir? No. Well, that was rude. What are you doing?
God be with you.
I'd like to learn to read.
I'd like to learn to read.
You? You don't look like the makings of a priest or clerk. But why not? I've taught all sorts. Bear in mind, it won't be all that easy. You'll need plenty of time and a few groschen for my trouble.
All right. I don't want to waste time. We can get started. The sooner I master it, the better.
Very well. I will require some groschen from you, though, and set aside at least a couple of days so I can put you through your paces, if indeed time is of the essence.
Can I just ask him about...
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course. Ask away.
No, I can't just ask him about the writing.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
Do you know what Lubosch was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
He has a lot of books that he would be willing to trade me. They're not any good to me yet, though. So with that in mind, I've got the money together.
I've saved some coin. Could you teach me?
Certainly. Let's get started.
How is this going to work?
No. He did break his vow, but better than to dishonor it here. May he follow his heart. Wake up, lad. It's time we were getting on. So, let's see you read a bit. There's a book here on the table. Try to read it.
Will I manage?
You ought to be able to. It's a simple text. Come back once you've worked your way through it.
Alright, I can do that, but beforehand, let's go see if I can make any progress on the murder. I wonder how long it's supposed to have been. Alright, back to the crime scene now. The body is gone, thankfully. Can I read? Why can't I? For whatever reason, I can't read it yet. There's actually nothing in the quest log about what's written on the wall. So maybe my best bet at the moment is go to the tavern and wait for the priest. It's still early in the morning, so if I wanted to, I have plenty of time to ask about Limpy and the murder. I'm not sure where to begin, though. Here's the bailiff again.
Good day to you. What do you need?
Another thing about Lubosh. I found armor in his house, covered in blood.
God preserve us. Everyone knows he was a violent oaf, but I never thought he'd stoop to murder. At least he never did that here.
Alright, not much more going on yet. Not too much going on around the outside of his house. Again, I mentioned that he did have a crate in here as well that we could lockpick. Probably some interesting stuff in there. I don't have any lockpicks for the moment, so that's not going to go too far. But it certainly is another avenue that we could pursue this investigation. Nothing in here, it looks like.
What?
Ma'am,
Looking for something around here?
I just want to have a chat.
Mother of God, you look like you've been assaulted.
I'm fine.
I've come in the name of Sahanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know how I can help you, but ask if you must.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
There wasn't sight or sound of him for a long time, and then yesterday he turned up at the church and even talked to the parish priest. I never saw him do that before. Probably had a bad conscience.
Right. My guess is...
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I don't think he was home. I didn't see him all day.
My guess is that he
That's
was
all.
involved
Thank you.
in the raid, had a guilty conscience,
Goodbye.
and was probably going to spill the beans, and instead was taken care of. Certainly seems the most plausible. I don't know why the priest won't let me know who the conspirators are, especially if Limpy was feeling guilty about what he'd done. You'd want to think that the priest would help him make it right. What's going on up here? We have a few more buildings that we haven't really had a look at. Is this the way we came into town? I think so. No, we came into town on the other end, I believe. What is this? The butcher, maybe? Yep, okay. We haven't been here yet. Not that we need anything butchered, but confirmation that this is a new part of town. Guessing we're not going to find too much evidence about Limpy up this way. Really, I do need to do the lockpicking. So first things first, we're going to have to get our hands on some lockpicks. Alright, we leveled up by sprinting through town. That's always helpful. But back up here towards the main part of town to see if we can make a few purchases. Townsman.
Good day
Is
to
that
you.
different than villager? I can play dice. That's not really
I've come
what
in
I
the
do
name
right
of
now.
Sahanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the
It's a
massacre in
badass
Neuhof,
shot
and now a murder
through the
here as well.
fires.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Okay, apparently the trader is down this way, maybe? Not quite sure. Okay, here's the trader. That's why it was locked earlier.
Good day to you.
So what do you have for me, my good man? Let's talk trade. I have 282. He has some good quality stuff. Lockpicks are not on the menu, though, as far as I can see. So that's a concern. Is there any chance that the innkeeper would sell me something like that? Why do you have cabbage all over the ground?
God be with you. Good luck to you.
He has lots of food and stuff, but no lockpicks. Let's have a look at the church. We haven't been in here yet. It's pleasant in here, but not too much going on. Oh, just a huge pile of bones. That's cool, I guess, if you're into that type of thing. What is this for? So back down to the victim's house anyway. Maybe I can find something else that is useful. He has a small assortment of food that I can steal. Don't think I'm gonna do that. Fruits and vegetables seem to go bad really quickly, so I'm not sure it would even be that useful. Oh, he has alcohol in this one. I think we'll take that. But nothing in here to pick his locks with. I was hoping to find out who he was running with and where they were hiding. We need another lead on the massacre. Right now we're getting nowhere. Lockpicks are something that I would have thought more shops would have. When I do find them, I need to start buying them more often. They're not easily accessible. Alright, so at this point, it's back to the tavern. Let's have a seat. I thought I had the book with me, but I guess not. Let's go back and try to find the scribe. Yeah, I can't take the book, so let's have a read. Being able to read was a very rare skill in the Middle Ages. I've read the book.
Wonderful. So tell me, what have you learned?
I'm not sure what I learned. I can't understand German or whatever it was.
That being greedy doesn't pay.
Excellent. You're one of my most talented pupils. You've uncovered the meaning hidden in the letters. Like I told you, books are valuable, and the words that you place in them ought to be no less so.
Does that mean that I can read then?
Yes, you have the foundation. Remember, my boy, the pen is mightier than the sword. To fully learn your way around words will take a lot more reading yet. Now we'll move on to the second lesson, which will be much harder. Many books are written in Latin, the language of erudite and religious men. If you really want to be able to read, there's no getting away from Latin. There's a book on the table with some text. Read it and then come back. You need not understand it, but you should master the letters.
I only just managed the fable about the goose, and now you're asking me to tackle Latin.
You're a clever lad. You'll manage.
So I can have a sit here and read the Latin. Alright, you sneaky bastard.
I read the page.
So tell me, Distrupule, what's written there?
Nullus est liber tam malus, ut non alique parte prosit.
Good heavens! Don't tell me you haven't had lessons before. Excellent. Well, there's nothing more I can teach you. Congratulations. You can go and be ordained right away.
Thank you, Domine. I'm feeling a lot wiser.
Alright, apparently I can pick a reading perk. I have a couple, actually. All books are cheaper in shops. And when reading, you will get tired and hungry twice as slowly. So I can pick between one. Let's go with the cheaper one. Although I do have the tired and hungry perks already, so that would stack quite nicely. How many books am I actually going to buy? Let's get in the flow. Alright, it's starting to get late in the afternoon. I haven't had much luck with my quest to find out more about Limpy. So let's go over to the tavern. And now we can wait for the priest. Alright, so we're going to have a seat inside this time. Right over here should be nice. And we're going to have a wait for the priest. 4 hours brings us to about 7:30. That should be plenty of time. There he is right there. Alright, Father, what do you want to talk about?
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovno. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Uzhitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened in Noel? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubos told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Uzhitz is in Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
What are folks saying about it?
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Enough about preaching.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. It's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
I reached a new level in drinking. Take what you will.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padł dziesnej smutek, do dnielno i rano utek, niech już małżeński majstrat, do wczoraj żył nesaje brak. Už sej mojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejt jejich muži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední den. Půjdu se mámy, ano ráda slávy a pak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu jsou nejdem, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět. Ty dneska vůbec nikdo neví, zase zítra Ježíši a není to naposled.
Enough of this!
Bailiff, come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
Oh god, do we want to do this? I don't think it's a good idea.
So come and get it. Don't worry. I won't give you any trouble.
No, Corva.
We'll just have a bit of a punch-up.
That grapple, I can never defend against it. Get a couple in, there we go. Ah. Oh. Running low on stamina. Got some good ones in though. That's right, we got him. We got him. Oh, wait, no. Climb the bell tower.
So, my dear, wouldn't you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry?
Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you
I feel like I'm pretty drunk.
What will people say?
They can say what they like. Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Okay, so it's officially the next day, and we're still a little bit drunk, and I think that means that that's going to do it for this episode. It's been a memorable night with the local clergy. Never thought I'd say that. But tomorrow we'll find out what he has to tell us about Limpy and the bandits. So for now, my name is Ty. I am your homicidal chauffeur.
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Thank you very much, and have a good night. We got more up here, and that's it. We failed the event. Makes it 2-0.
For duty!
Get all these archers behind the lines. The good news is that we are profitable, and we need to focus on the boat. I've been cuckolded. Minus 100%. Job done.